In the hyper-accelerated, digitally saturated ecosystem of Hollywood, in 2026, Lisa Bonet remains the ultimate untouchable enigma. At 58 years old, she has successfully executed the most radical act possible. In modern celebrity culture, she has become a ghost in the machine. While her peers obsessively document their every waking second to appease ravenous social media algorithms, Bonet does not possess a single public account. She has no eager publicist leaking curated narratives to the tabloids, no vanity beauty brand to sell, and no desire to return to the blinding heat of the silver screen. Yet in her absolute refusal to be seen, she has never been more magnetic. Her stunning transformation since her high-profile split from Jason Momoa has the entertainment industry whispering in collective awe, not because of a surgical makeover, but because of a profound spiritual elevation. She is the woman who walked away from $1 billion superhero empire and a 17-year partnership, not with a roar of scandal, but with a whisper of absolute, unshakable peace. You cannot cancel a woman who has already canceled the world. To understand the sheer magnitude of the woman who emerged from the ruins of Brangelina-level fame, one must first dismantle the glossy mythology of Denise Huxtable. Long before she was the free-spirited muse to global rock gods and cinematic titans, Lisa Bonet was a quiet, intensely observant child, navigating the fractured geography of a biracial identity in the late 1960s. Raised in a predominantly white, affluent neighborhood in Los Angeles, she was the daughter of an Ashkenazi Jewish teacher and an African-American opera singer who divorced when she was just a toddler. She was an only child, trapped in the deafening heavy silence of a broken home, spending her afternoons begging her mother for a sibling she would never have. Without a confidant to share the psychological burden of looking fundamentally different from every other child in her classroom, she turned entirely inward. When a neighborhood friend casually invited the shy teenager to an acting workshop in 1983, Lisa didn't seek the spotlight. She sought a mask. Acting provided a highly structured, safe psychological refuge where she could safely channel her internal restlessness. She landed a guest spot on the medical drama Saint Elsewhere at 16, viewing the job merely as an accidental after-school distraction. She had absolutely no cognitive awareness that she was stepping onto a corporate conveyor belt designed to consume her youth for profit. When she officially joined the cast of The Cosby Show in 1984, the sitcom didn't just win television ratings. It fundamentally redefined the American nuclear family for a global audience. Holding the #1 spot in the Nielsen ratings for 5 consecutive years, the show turned the 17-year-old Bonet into the undisputed it girl of a generation. But while the world was utterly enchanted by her vintage bohemian layers, her oversized sweaters and her asymmetrical haircuts, the real Lisa Bonet was quietly suffocating. She was trapped inside a golden multi-million-dollar cage, contractually obligated to perform as a sanitized, wholesome teenager. Her soul was desperately hungering for a darker, unfiltered reality. By 1986, the legally emancipated 18-year-old launched a surgical strike against her own pristine image. She accepted a leading role in the neo-noir horror masterpiece Angel Heart opposite Robert De Niro. The movie was drenched in Louisiana voodoo heavy blood and visceral grit, featuring a highly explicit sex scene with Mickey Rourke that forced the MPAA to slap it with a box office killing X rating. She was forced to cut exactly 10 seconds of thrusting, bloody footage, just to secure a standard theatrical R release. When the media attempted to publicly shame her for tarnishing the reputation of America's favorite TV daughter, she remained chillingly unfazed. She stared back at the critics and made it clear she was an artist, not a babysitter for the nation's moral compass. True artists do not ask for permission to bleed. This fierce professional rebellion quickly and violently escalated into her personal life. In 1987, the powerful network executives handed her a dedicated spin-off, A Different World, designed to follow Denise Huxtable to college. But she abruptly abandoned the hit show after a single wildly successful season. The catalyst was an intoxicating soulmate collision in a sweaty backstage elevator at a New Edition concert where she crossed paths with a struggling, wild-haired musician named Lenny Kravitz. They were twin flames, two biracial, spiritually displaced artists who recognized a home in one another. On November 16, 1987, exactly on her 20th birthday, they eloped in a quiet Las Vegas ceremony, choosing love over the rigid demands of the television industry. Shortly after, she discovered she was pregnant with her daughter, Zoe. When she approached Bill Cosby with the news, hoping to write the pregnancy into the show's narrative as a progressive storyline for young women, he famously and coldly refused. He stated flatly that the fictional character was not pregnant and therefore the actress was no longer welcome, refusing to compromise her biological reality for a corporate-owned character. Bonet walked away from the massive paycheck and the guaranteed fame, having her daughter radically shifted her internal compass. She retreated to the remote rustic enclave of Topanga Canyon, choosing to raise her child in the literal dirt barefoot and shielded from the toxic, flesh-eating flashbulbs of the paparazzi. Her marriage to Kravitz eventually collapsed under the crushing, suffocating weight of his sudden explosive global superstardom in the early 1990s. As Kravitz became a rock icon, Bonet became a ghost, finalizing their divorce in 1993. Kravitz famously suffered from a devastating near-suicidal grief in the aftermath, reportedly sleeping only 2 hours a day for 6 straight months. He dedicated the chart-topping, agonizingly beautiful ballad, "It Ain't Over Till It's Over," entirely to her. But she didn't stay to comfort his rock star ego. She understood that some fires are meant to burn themselves out so that something new can grow in the ash. She chose the quiet, grueling labor of self-discovery over the glamorous drama of a high-profile reconciliation. She spent the next decade in an intentional hiatus, practicing intense yoga, meditating, and learning how to exist without an audience. She didn't lose her husband, she found her soul. In 2004, after successfully establishing an impenetrable fortress of financial and emotional independence, she crossed paths with a relatively unknown, towering, heavily tattooed actor named Jason Momoa at a dimly lit Los Angeles jazz club. Momoa, a full decade younger, had famously pointed at a television screen when he was an 8-year-old boy in Hawaii and explicitly told his mother he was going to marry the woman on the screen. He had literally, aggressively manifested her into his physical reality. They shared a heavy pint of Guinness and a steaming bowl of grits at a late-night diner, and their fates were permanently sealed. They spent 17 years together, officially marrying in 2017 and building a magnificent, highly unconventional blended family that became the gold standard for Hollywood maturity. Jason Momoa and Lenny Kravitz became famously, genuinely close, publicly referring to each other as brothers and ohana, entirely anchored by Bonet's supreme, stabilizing matriarchal love. She was the sun around which two of the most famous men on Earth rotated, yet she never once sought to steal their light. But the cruelest irony of human evolution is that the very things that bring two people together can eventually tear them apart. As the 2020s arrived, the heavy tectonic plates of their marriage silently but irreversibly fractured. In January 2022, the globe was completely stunned when they released a joint statement announcing their separation. The public entirely failed to realize that the announcement was merely a delayed, heavily orchestrated formality. Leaked court documents revealed they had actually legally separated on October 7, 2020, a full 15 months before they ever uttered a single syllable to the press. They guarded their privacy with militant, terrifying precision to protect their two young children, Lola and Nakoa Wolf. The divorce was not fueled by a messy tabloid scandal, a third party, or a bitter betrayal. It was fueled by absolute geographical and spiritual incompatibility. Momoa had transitioned into a billion-dollar megastar as Aquaman. He was a restless adrenaline junkie, hungry for work and constantly living out of a suitcase on global film sets in frozen tundras, deserts, and sound stages. He wanted to travel the world. Bonet, however, had already survived the blinding, flesh-eating heat of global fame in her 20s. She had zero desire to live in luxury hotels or attend another premiere. She preferred the profound, heavy quiet of her Los Angeles sanctuary, reading esoteric literature, writing private poetry, and meditating in the warm California sun. They simply drifted toward different horizons. When she officially filed for divorce in early 2024, the Los Angeles County Court processed it in exactly 1 day. They had already meticulously settled every single detail behind closed doors, legally waiving spousal support and agreeing to seamless joint physical custody. They did not view their divorce as a tragic failure. They viewed it as a strictly necessary, deeply respectful evolution. They freed each other to become who they were always destined to be. Today, as 2026 unfolds, the stunning transformation of Lisa Bonet is nothing short of breathtaking. While the standard predictable celebrity playbook dictates that a newly divorced female star must embark on a desperate, highly publicized revenge tour, posting heavily filtered photos, staging fake paparazzi walks with younger lovers, or launching a massive vanity skincare brand, Bonet has executed the exact polar opposite. At 58, she effortlessly defies the biological aging process not through the use of needles or knives, but through an uncompromising, fierce physical discipline. She has been a dedicated student of traditional African dance for over 7 years, a practice she describes as her absolute lifeline. Through the rhythmic, grounded, and explosive energy of dance, combined with a rigorous daily devotion to Ashtanga yoga and heavy Pilates, she maintains a physical vessel that is as strong as it is ethereal. Friends note that since the separation, she seems to physically vibrate on a higher frequency. She is lighter, vastly more energized, and deeply, undeniably radiant. But her true power in 2026 lies in her absolute, uncompromising rejection of digital validation. In an era where human worth and bankability are inexplicably tied to a blue checkmark, she literally does not exist in the virtual world. She is an absolute ghost in the digital machine, aggressively refusing to commodify her piece for corporate likes. This philosophy dictates exactly how she moves through the physical world. She's never photographed staring down at a glowing, addictive screen. She engages in fierce, eye-to-eye grounded, real-world connections. Since closing the heavy door on her marriage to Momoa, she has further aggressively reduced her footprint in Hollywood. She has not chased a credited acting role in nearly a decade. This deliberate, calculated step back is not a forced retirement. It is a highly intentional redirection of her vital energy. She has vanished into the lush, wild wilderness of her own passions. Insiders reveal that she spends her days deepening her intense connection to the earth, cultivating complex medicinal gardens, throwing physical pottery in her private studio, and writing volumes of private poetry that she intends for no one to ever read. She is not seeking an audience. She's seeking herself. On the incredibly rare, highly documented occasions, she has stepped onto a red carpet. In the last year, she has set the cultural conversation ablaze. It isn't because she is wearing a scandalous, flesh-bearing designer gown or debuting a dramatic, surgically altered face. It is because she physically exudes a palpable, deeply magnetic aura of absolute, terrifying self-possession. She walks into a crowded room of terrified, deeply insecure, ego-driven celebrities, radiating the quiet, lethal power of a woman who needs absolutely nothing from anyone in that room. What makes her 2026 transformation so utterly captivating is that she has successfully defeated the Hollywood machine by simply quietly refusing to play its rigged game. Instead of seeking validation in the arms of a new partner or the loud, hollow applause of a live audience, she has embarked on the quiet, deeply solitary path of ultimate self-discovery. Her legacy in 2026 is no longer about the characters she played on a screen. It is about her unparalleled emotional intelligence and her refusal to be a victim of her own history. She has managed to maintain a harmonious, deeply loving ecosystem with both of her ex-husbands, proving that family is a living, breathing thing that can beautifully transcend the confines of a legal marriage contract. She is the de facto matriarch of a tribe that includes a rock legend, a movie star, and an A-list daughter, all of whom look to her for spiritual grounding. As she drifts gracefully and powerfully into this exquisite new chapter of her human existence, she continues to captivate the world through the quiet, thunderous power of authentic living. The stunning metamorphosis we are witnessing isn't about her changing who she is. It is about her peeling back the final, suffocating layers of celebrity expectation to reveal the woman she was always destined to be. She is a bohemian queen, a fierce protector of her own peace, and a spiritual warrior who answers to absolutely no one but the rhythm of her own heart. Does her radical, terrifying choice to completely reject digital validation and Hollywood's hollow expectations inspire you to seek more brutal, unvarnished authenticity in your own life? How do you view her ego-less, highly evolved approach to navigating complex family dynamics and high-profile divorce? In a world that demands you be loud to be heard, is the quietest woman in the room actually the most powerful? Drop your most insightful, unfiltered thoughts in the comments below. Let us know if you believe the true secret to agelessness is as simple as walking away from the noise. And do not forget to share this story with anyone who desperately needs to understand the quiet, unyielding power of a woman who refuses to be anything but exactly who she is. This is not just the end of a marriage, it is the beginning of an era, the era of Lisa Bonet. The journey from Denise Huxtable to the mystic of Topanga Canyon was not a straight line. It was a jagged, painful excavation of the self. She survived the predatory glare of Bill Cosby, the exhausting fire of Lenny Kravitz's fame, and the nomadic intensity of Jason Momoa's career. Each of these men was a milestone in her evolution, but none of them was the destination. In 2026, she has finally arrived at herself. She has proven that you can be the most well-known woman in the world and still remain completely unknown. She has proven that you can lose a partner and gain a universe. As the sun sets over her sanctuary in the hills, she isn't looking at a camera and she isn't checking her notifications. She is breathing, she is dancing, she is free. And in that freedom, she has given Hollywood its most striking performance, yet the performance of a woman who no longer cares if you are watching. Looking at her children, you see the result of this fierce, unconventional parenting. Zoe Kravitz has inherited her mother's cool, sharp-edged mystery. Lola and Nakoa Wolf carry their mother's grounded, earthy spirituality. They are not the typical Nepo babies chasing TikTok fame. They are serious, introspective individuals who have been taught that their internal world is infinitely more important than their public image. This is Lisa Bonet's true box office total. This is her legacy. Not the award she didn't win, but the people she helped shape through the sheer force of her own authenticity. She didn't just raise children, she raised souls. And as she moves forward, unbothered and unburdened, she leaves us with a hauntingly beautiful question. What would you do with your life if you stopped caring about the spotlight? What would you find in the silence? Lisa Bonet found her power, and that power is exactly why the world, even in 2026, still cannot look away.